However, the problem of Africa has actually been was one, not the only one, there were others, but one of them was underpopulation. You get a country like Congo, Kinshasa, DRC. It is the same size as India, but with a population of almost 70 million people now. Somebody can stay in the forest, not doing anything, just picking the fruits. So there's that angle, the angle of, but the population has recovered. We don't have time to go into why the population of Africa, because you remember, Africans are the original human beings. And all of you here are Africans. Some of you who stayed here, and some of you, the diaspora of Africa. When you see Europeans, you see Chinese, you see all these people, they are all ex-Africans, former Africans. And they didn't go long ago. They didn't go long ago. They went on about 100,000 years ago. That's when they started going away. The question is then, why did the diaspora multiply more than we who stayed here? There are reasons for that, but we don't have time to go into them. I didn't know that this was such a big conference. Otherwise, I would have sat down and written an essay for you. I only came to know that it was big when I saw Dr. Zuma. What is Dr. Zuma doing here? This must be, I thought these were the accountants of Kampala who had gathered here. But this Africa, very rich, now that the population is coming up, there is nothing that will stop us. Too small a population was not good at all. By 1900, the whole of Africa was only 100 million people. Of course, the population had also been interfered with by the slave trade, there are all sorts of factors which we don't have time to go into. However, where we are now, there is nothing that will stop Africa from going forward. We have been having one problem. The problem of, in terms of resources, everything is here. If I take Uganda, for instance, very rich agriculture. There is nothing on earth which we don't produce. At least as far as Uganda is concerned, we don't import food from outside. Instead, we export a lot of food. You will find Uganda has got a lot of agricultural potential and production. If, for instance, you take bananas, we are the second biggest producers of bananas in the whole world, after India. Coffee, all the things you can think of. Grains, what have you. freshwater resources, as you can see, the lakes, the rivers, and the fish which are there, the forest products, the very good tourist potential. I don't know why these people are suffocating you by closing these tents. They should open that side so that you can. Here we don't do air conditioning. The air conditioning is because these people have kept out the air. They are trying to suffocate you. I don't know why. Otherwise, if they opened there, you would be very, very comfortable with the natural air, without warming it, without cooling it. Minerals, a strong culture of production, indigenous production, livestock, crops, fisheries. So Africa is very rich in terms of the human resource now that the populations are growing, and also in terms of natural resources. There has, however, been one problem, the problem of ideological meandering. You see, like the children of Israel, when they came from slavery in Egypt, they spent 40 years in the desert, not knowing where to go. And yet Palestine was just a few hundred miles away. This has been the problem with Africa, ideological meandering. This is not unique to Africa. Even Europe had the same problem. You remember the Europeans had no civilization until Egypt. Egypt were the ones who pioneered civilization. Then the Europeans learned from us. They had some civilization in Greece, which went down. Then the Roman civilization, which collapsed around 450 AD. Then for 1,000 years, Europe was in what they called the Dark Ages. Chaos. Until 1400, after 1,000 years, that's when Europe started getting what they call Renaissance, the reawakening, the rebirth of knowledge. Even then, they didn't focus properly. There were so many people saying so many different things. There was, for instance, one philosophy called Bullionism. Bullionisms are people who believed that if you steal gold and you steal silver, you become rich. Portugal and Spain excelled in that. They went to South America, killed all the Indians there, stole the gold, stole the silver, but ended up being the most backward countries in Europe. So it proved that Bullionism was a wrong philosophy. Then there were people in France, philosophers, who were called physiocrats. These physiocrats believed that value was in agriculture, that agriculture was the most important thing. But you know very well that if you have got only agriculture and nothing else, there is no way you can modernize. They ended up also being wrong. Then you remember, in 1776, a Scotsman by the name of Adam Smith wrote a book called The Source of the Wealth of Nations. It was that book which helped the Europeans to know where to go. And Adam Smith was telling these people that what was important was specialization and exchange. That if you specialize in something, and then you exchange with another one specializes in something else, and you exchange, that's how you will create wealth. Classical economists like Adam Smith, 1776, that's almost like 300 years of people not knowing where to go. Of course, Karl Marx also came in and also caused a bit of confusion. When Karl Marx came, he said, look here, only labor creates value. Only labor, the workers, the industrial workers are the ones who are creating value. All the others are wasting time. You know, of course, that one also has got its own veracity, but also its own mistakes. Because I think accountants are sort of quasi-economists, are they? I developed a bias against accountancy because there was a paper in economics called accountancy, and being a rebel, I didn't like it. I didn't like regimentation because the teachers said accountants in America, they write something on the right and something else on the left. And the ones in UK write on the left. No, I said, why? But accountants must be some sort of economists. And you know the factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. So that's why Karl Marx also caused some confusion. Because if you only have labor, but you don't have, for instance, entrepreneurship, there is some issue there. These days, when I went to give a lecture somewhere, I gave the old 4 factors of production. Then students put up their hand and said, you old man, you're out of date. There's a 5th factor of production. I said, what is it? They said, knowledge. I said, okay, thank you very much. Then that means there are 5. Therefore, this problem of ideological meandering, not knowing what to do, has really been the problem. We here in Uganda, we have been in that meandering for the last 50+ years. Because Uganda had a lot of problems, as you may have heard. Uganda was a failed state because we had very many problems, political problems. But our political movement, which started as a student movement in the 1960s, and then became a resistance movement against the Idi Amin and so on, and then became a political party, we have had time to synthesize a position. And for us, we say that in our case, I think we are out of the woods now because we have identified what we call strategic bottlenecks. In the 1960s, you would hear in the universities people saying, what is crucial is integrated rural development. But how would you sustainably have a rural development program if you don't have money, if you don't have income, if you don't have money? How would you do it? So that went on for some time, integrated rural development. Don't care about the towns, care about the countryside. Then after some time, other people came and say, oh, education. Education is the crucial factor. If you educate the population, everything will be all right. But the question is, if you educate the population, but you don't create jobs, what will happen? There is a country called Philippines. I was there once for a few hours. I didn't study very well. But when you go all over the world, you find Filipinos everywhere. In Europe, in America, even here, the Filipinos are there. And then there's another country called South Korea. The only South Korean I've ever seen outside is Ban Ki-moon. The one who was Secretary General of the UN. So I was wondering, why do the Filipinos go away and the South Koreans stay at home? Could it be because South Koreans have created jobs so that they don't have to go away? So the more we thought about this, that's why we came to the conclusion that no, you cannot solve the problems of Africa, of Uganda. In our case, we were struggling with Uganda by dealing with one factor. You need at least 10 factors to deal with, what we called strategic bottlenecks. I don't have time to go through all of them, but I'm in the bad habit of writing some books. There's a book here where I listed them. It has got a few, this is a trial copy. I had to correct it because I was insisting on old way of writing. And these publishers wanted the new way. I said, no, leave me alone. But the bottlenecks, I don't have time to go through them, but I could mention about a few of them. One of the bottlenecks is ideological. Dr. Zuma talked about the guns falling silent. What is causing these wars? It is ideological confusion. Some people decide to emphasize identity. Identity. I am this. I am a Catholic. I am a Protestant. I am a Muslim. I am tribe X. I am tribe Y. And they forget completely about interests. It so happened that me, I am a cattle person, cattle keeper. And there are many cattle keepers in my area where I come from. However, those cattle keepers don't help me to buy my cows, because they also have cows. They have cows, I have cows. I don't buy from them, they don't buy from me. So what use are they to me? We greet in our tribal language in the morning, Uganda, Uganda, that's the end. But if I want to send my child to school, I want to build a better house, they don't help me. The people who help me are the people of Kampala, because the people of Kampala, you see them, they don't have cows in their houses here. They are the ones who buy my milk, they are the ones who buy my beef. So I become a rich man because of the people of Kampala, not because of the people of my tribe. So the question then is, what is more important? Is it identity or interest? In some cases, identity can become an issue, like in the case of South Africa, where the whites were saying Africans should not do this, should not. Yes, that was a problem. It had to be solved. But after you solve that, where do you go? Should you pursue interest or emphasize identity?